Yes, thank you, Heather and Belle. Thank you. That was beautiful. Now it's my pleasure to introduce to you Reverend Nan Bankston. Rev Nan, as she's affectionately known, was introduced to religious science in 2002 at the Santa Rosa, California Church of Religious Science. She became an avid student of science of mind. Her secular career in healthcare administration, diagnostic medicine, and information technology called her away from Santa Rosa. She remained dedicated to spiritual principles and practices of science of mind during the following years, even hosting a study group in New Mexico for some years. Ultimately, she became a licensed religious science practitioner and is now an ordained CSL minister. She served in both assistant and senior minister roles before joining Centers for Spiritual Living Field Services Department in 2023 to support new community affiliations. Her ministry in field services expanded as home office moved through changes, and she became the director of field services in September of 2024. With the combination of global programs in field services in February of 2025, Rev Nan became the Senior Director of Global Support Services. She now serves ministers, practitioners, and CSL communities around the world in numerous capacities, including practitioner and ministerial licensing, interim ministry coordination, open pulpit and new minister support, ethics, community challenge mediation, and CSL global expansion initiatives. Most recently, Rev Nan has supported Ahava coordinating coverage with CSL licensed interim minister Dr. Bob Dean, and now working with leadership to find the right and perfect minister for the next greatest yet to be of Ahava CSL. Rev Nan's mantra is, "Love always prevails," and it guides and directs everything in her current ministerial role with Centers for Spiritual Living. So I give you Nan, direct from Florida.
Wow.
Good morning.
Technical glitch. Hang. Stand by.
Good morning. Can you hear me? I'm not sure if you can hear me, so I'm waiting for a cue from the folks that take care of all these things. All right. Okay. So we're just waiting to get me on the screen. You can hear me, and pretty soon, through pure imagination, you'll be able to see and hear me.
Raise your volume as much as you can, please. We're working on it. Thank you.
All right. We're good to go?
Not yet. We're working on it. Hey, there you are. Hallelujah.
Well, it sounds like to me that everything is okay now. All right. Well, thank you so much. This is so exciting. Thanks for the great introduction, Jennifer. And also, um, good morning, Ahava, everyone in the sanctuary, and to all of you out there who are viewing this service remotely now or later. It's so wonderful that even with the time change, you are here. I would love to be with you in person, and perhaps someday that will happen. I am grateful that today, through the wonder of technology, we get to be together anyway. And I'd especially like to thank David, Heather, Amy, and Jennifer for supporting me and being with you. My talk title today is Our Divine Inheritance, Belonging 101. So you may wonder, what does the song we just heard so beautifully performed have to do with belonging? Well, the monthly CSL global theme is What If? That question opens us to infinite possibilities that may only be limited by our imagination. So consider the last lines of the song. There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be. Now imagine that, living life free every day in joy, love, peace, and happiness with a sense of belonging. What wonderful possibilities, huh? But those possibilities may be limited if we feel we don't deserve them, if we aren't good enough, or that we don't belong as recipients of a divine inheritance that assures us that we are always fully supported in creating our lives. I recently read a study that documented that loneliness is at an epidemic level. It's a symptom of feeling that one doesn't belong. It may feel like a deep sense of emptiness, disconnection, and being unseen, even when we're surrounded by other people. It may feel like something is missing inside. It often brings a sense of isolation, invisibility, or being deliberately excluded from social groups or conversations. And that may result in a sense of not belonging anywhere. So it's no wonder that in these times it is easy to forget that belonging is our soul's native home. It is the spiritual fact of our existence, and yet so often we forget. We forget who we are, we forget what we're part of, and we forget the vast love that created us and holds us. There is a truth so ancient, so intimate, that when we hear it, something in us relaxes. Ernest Holmes names it in the opening pages of this thing called You, which is still my favorite book of the very many books that Dr. Holmes produced. He writes, "You belong to the universe in which you live. You are as much a part of it as the sun, the earth, and the air. Your soul belongs to the universe. Your mind is an outlet through which the creative intelligence of the universe seeks fulfillment." So I'd like to present a little refresher course today in remembering how we belong. And we'll see how three ever-evolving circles of belonging shape our lives from the inside out. First, there's our divine heritage of belonging to and in the universe, our original circle of love. Second, creating our inner circle of belonging with our friends and family, our inner circle of love. And then third, belonging as part of a new community growth, the outer circle of love, or a place where all belong. So, belonging to the universe, source, God, spirit, Buddha, Allah, the thing itself, as Dr. Holmes called it, whatever the name we choose to use, it is the vast intelligent love from which we are all created and to which we are all inseparably, eternally connected. Dr. Holmes told us that we are as much part of the universe as the sun, the earth, and the air, as I just read. That means we're not visitors here. We're expressions of the life source that has created huge galaxies, the teeny tiny fingernails of newborns, and all creation, great and small. There's something within us. Dr. Holmes calls it a voice echoing from some mountaintop of inward vision that keeps whispering, "You are part of something vast. You are known." This belonging is unconditional. It's not based on performance. It's not revoked by mistakes, and it's not given only to a selected chosen few. It is the true nature of our being. And because we belong to this infinite intelligence, our desires are not random. They are the divine impulse within, urging us to blossom. They are the imagination of the universe, seeking expression through us. It is that inner circle of belonging, the place within each of us that is the divine pattern of perfection that exists beyond human form in our spiritual DNA. It is the place of the still small voice with which we commune in our spiritual practices. It is the true north of belonging, where we will never, ever be alone. Once we remember our cosmic belonging, we can move to our next ring of spiritual belonging, our second circle, ourselves, our friends and family, that inner circle of love. It is the more intimate circle, belonging to ourselves and to the people who walk beside us. Now, belonging to ourselves, what does that really mean? Well, it's listening to our own soul with kindness. So I'm just going to ask, have you been kind to yourself today? Have you been kind to yourself this last week or the past month? How do you find ways to be kind to yourself? Interesting. It's also trusting our inner wisdom. Do we constantly doubt our intuitive nature? Do we think we know some things and then we discard them because certainly we don't know enough? And yet our inner wisdom guides us and is there as a constant source of direction. It's also speaking to ourselves with the same compassion that we offer others. You know, it took years for me to speak to myself with that same compassion that I might have for someone else in a situation that was similar. I found it so much easier to be critical of myself, to be harsh, to comparing myself to others, and then being relentless in my inability to practice self-acceptance. And then early on, in my exposure to science of mind, religious science, I heard the words of Dr. Edward Viljoen in one of the first talks I heard when I attended the Center for Spiritual Living in Santa Rosa, California. I recall him offering a closing benediction, one that I have used since as a practitioner and a minister, and that is, I accept myself just the way that I am and just the way that I am not. I want you to think about that. I want you to think about considering accepting oneself just the way that you are and just the way that you are not. You know, that opened a door to really consider for me that was always a choice. I loved that idea, but I didn't really know I could apply it to my own self-judgment and choose not to judge myself so harshly. I changed my perceptions through daily spiritual practice, through communing with that still small voice within and hearing the truth of my being. I learned to speak to and about myself with more compassion, care, consideration, and love. I wasn't always good at it, but I kept practicing. And even today, I'm still not perfect, but I know that I have the choice to choose that when I am consciously aware of what I'm saying to myself and make the decision to talk to myself with compassion, care, and love. You know, our self-talk, that's a key exercise in strengthening our belonging muscle. When we choose self-talk that supports our true nature, that affirms our belonging and worth. We invite our inner being to radiate the truth of who we really are. Belonging with friends and family means showing up authentically, allowing ourselves to really see them and recognizing that the divine impulse within them also exists within us. There are ways to strengthen our muscle of creating belonging for all of our relationships with just a single small act of inclusion. Might be a phone call, might be a moment of listening, really listening to someone else. A genuine smile of pleasure just in seeing the person. You know, these are all small gestures. They're all spiritual practices, and they create belonging in real time. You know, my grandma, and I often refer to my grandma because she was a powerful influence in my life. She always said, you can pick your seat, you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your relatives. However, you can decide how you want to react to them. Now, sometimes that was an excuse for bad behaviors, no matter with whom they originated. Sometimes it was an early reminder. I was always at choice in my response, but I didn't fully realize it then. But it was a reminder that being in a family did not demand sameness. It offered me an opportunity to see each person in my family and in my relationships as individuals who were unique. And I do admit I was a whole lot older before I really appreciated the diverse personalities in my family and all the wisdom I learned and gained from my experiences with each of them. Some of those experiences I thought at the time were really devastating, and they were. But it turned out to be some of the greatest gifts that I ever received. As we practice belonging with our inner circle, we can now expand outward, where belonging takes place as part of new community growth, a place where all belong. So that third circle of belonging expands outward into community, into our neighborhoods, into the collective field of co-creating belonging. Ahava is currently experiencing an amazing opportunity in co-creating its next greatest yet to be. All of you have the opportunity to create belonging in new and powerful ways. Ways that each of you and anyone walking through the doors of Ahava for the first time will immediately feel and experience a sense of comfort and ease, perhaps even that sense of coming home. Can you feel how exciting that is? You are birthing a comfort zone for all who are seeking a place to belong, a place that will support them in remembering who they are through our spiritual truths and your individual and collective practices of those. Now, you may wonder how or why this is happening. Well, change is a given, and Ahava was changing. And during that change, I had the opportunity to support Dr. Bob Dean in being an interim minister so that he could also support you in your change. Well, the first step for this co-creation of this new greatest next yet to be of Ahava occurred with the workshop that Dr. Bob Dean held that first Sunday in January. Many of you came together to share what values and visions were important to you. You were together for several hours after service, sharing openly, honestly, and with excitement and authenticity. After that, your leadership team came together with all that information, and I had the privilege of facilitating their distillation and co-creation of all that information into your sacred covenant. Now, that sacred covenant that Jennifer read may seem like a whole lot of words without power. May seem like something that really doesn't apply to you individually or that you weren't necessarily a part of. Well, don't be fooled into thinking it was only produced by a few people or only the leadership team. And don't be fooled into taking it lightly. It is a spiritual prayer that you can participate in every day, every week. It is the evidence of the collective consciousness of Ahava, the spirit of Ahava, the love that is the definition of the Hebrew word Ahava. That was in action the day of Dr. Bob's workshop that revealed the collective imagination that formed the covenant. A spiritually mature community isn't one where everybody thinks alike. Rather, it's one where everyone is welcomed as a unique expression of spirit. We don't welcome people and say, oh, gosh, you're here, so let us show you what we can do for you. No, we welcome people and say, come in and be with us. What do you have to bring to this table of co-creation? What do you have to bring to this community that will enrich us even further? Holmes reminds us that our minds are outlets for creative intelligence. And that means communities grow not just through programs or plans, but through consciousness, through the inner sanctuary each of us tends. So reflecting back to our first circle of belonging, when we cultivate clarity, kindness, and expectancy within ourselves, we share those qualities within our second circle of family and friends. And ultimately, we bring those qualities into the beloved community of Ahava, where we shape the atmosphere of belonging in our third circle. We help create a community where every voice matters, diversity is celebrated as divine creativity, belonging is not passive but actively practiced, and the infinite finds new ways to express through us collectively. This, my friends, is the kind of community the world is hungry for. One that mirrors the universe's unconditional welcome and love. So in closing, I'm just going to break this down real quick here and tell you the final details. Belonging begins with the infinite. It moves through the self and expands into community. It is a spiral of remembrance. I belong to the universe. I belong to myself and to those I love. And I belong in a community where all belong. And as we tend the sanctuary within, clear, kind, expectant, our choices shift. Our relationships soften. Our beloved Ahava community opens its arms. And Ahava begins to mirror the world we are consciously creating as participants in the global vision of Centers for Spiritual Living, where we envision a world that works for everyone and for all creation, where love always prevails, always. And each of you get to be part of this amazing opportunity of co-creation. So I prepared a little affirmation, and we're going to wait for just a moment to get that up on the screen. I know that David was kind enough to create a slide. So once we have that up, we can go ahead, and if you want to join me, we can read it together. So, I belong to the universe. If you'd like to read with me, I belong to the universe. I belong to my own sacred self. I belong in a community where all belong. My mind is an outlet for infinite intelligence. My heart is a sanctuary of love, and my life reveals the pattern of the divine. Now, y'all can take that with you today, and I hope that you'll enjoy that as you consider the truth of who you really are and how much you really do belong. And then allow your imagination to create new ways for you, your family, and your community to fully understand and feel that. And so now, I'd like to close with a prayer, which is our custom, and it's my custom also. So if you'll just join me. So just allowing our bodies, our beings, come together. This is what I know today. I know that there is only one power, one presence, one love, one life. It is that from which I and everyone here have been created, emanated from. And because each of us has been the unique creation of that divine that is always there, we are inseparably woven into it and into each other through the warp and weft of the tapestry of the universe. I celebrate the divine nature of each of us, that divine inheritance of belonging, knowing that that love that created me, that created everyone here, everyone who hears this sound of my voice, wherever it may be, whenever they hear it, I celebrate the love that we share, that belonging, that infinite knowing that we are loved, that we are one, and that through that circle of love that enfolds us in the universe, the inner love that we have for ourselves and our families, our friends, and the circle of love that we create in this beloved community, Ahava, we have the power through our divine imagination to co-create a world that works for all. So I am so grateful knowing that this is the reality of the word that I speak. For as I release this in great thanksgiving, as I release it, know without hesitation that love always prevails. And this has already been received in that great field of mind, creating it even as I release it, even as I had spoken it, saying, yes, 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 my beloveds, yes. And together we may anchor and affirm this by saying, and so it is. And I am so very, very grateful for each of you. And I look forward to the day when we can all be together. And back to you folks there in the sanctuary.
Right before our song, I just want to express our gratitude to Rev Nan on behalf of all of us. And